Welcome! So, in the next few minutes, we're going to build your personal profile in Spanish from scratch. The goal is to give you all the tools you need to introduce yourself with some real confidence. Okay, let's dive right in.
First, let's start with a real-world example. This is Guadalupe. She introduces herself by saying, ¿Qué onda? Me llamo Guadalupe Zamora González. Soy de la ciudad de Puebla en México. Now, that basically means, what's up? My name is Guadalupe, and I am from the city of Puebla in Mexico. See that tiny little word, soy? That's our key, our starting point. Her introduction is pretty much the perfect roadmap for us.
So first up is the foundation of any profile, where you come from. I mean, this is all about your identity, right? And for that, we're going to need our first essential verb.
Now, before we get into the how, let's just take a second to appreciate the what. Guadalupe is from Mexico, which, as you can see here, is a country with an incredibly rich identity. This matters because in Spanish, where you're from isn't just some random fact. It's seen as a permanent, fundamental part of who you are. And that idea is really key for the verb we're about to learn.
So, to talk about our origin and identity, just like Guadalupe did, we have to use the verb ser. The best way to think about ser is that it's her permanent states, essential qualities, things that don't really change, like who you are and where you're from.
And here are the only forms you'll really need. For yourself, it's yo soy, which is exactly what Guadalupe said. If you're talking about, say, a friend, you might use él es or ella es. This table right here is your cheat sheet. Just match the person to the correct form of ser.
Let's see this in action with a few more examples. Yo soy de los Estados Unidos, or María es estudiante. You see how ser kind of acts like an equal sign? It connects a person to a core part of their identity. The only trick is picking the right form for your subject.
Okay, let's quickly update our own profile. Just with this one verb, you can now state your name and where you're from. You can say me llamo and soy de. That's a fantastic start, right? All right, so you've got your origin story down. Let's build on that. It's time to add a little personality. What kind of person are you?
Now, here's the key thing about Spanish. Adjectives have to agree with the gender of the person they're describing. The most common rule is actually super simple. For adjectives ending in O, you just change that O to an A for the feminine form. So, a serious man is serio, but a serious woman is seria. Easy enough.
But, of course, there are always exceptions, and these ones actually make life a bit easier. Words like inteligente, popular, or responsable, they stay the exact same no matter the gender. So that's one less thing you have to worry about.
Okay, let's plug that into our profile. Go ahead and pick a few adjectives that describe you. Just make sure they match your gender. You might say, soy creativo y responsable. See? You're really starting to paint a full picture of who you are now.
Okay, so we've covered origin and personality. To really complete our profile, we need to be able to talk about physical traits and age. And that brings us to our second key verb. Say hello to tener. Now, while it literally means to have, its job in Spanish is way bigger. You use it to describe things you have, like brown hair or green eyes, and even your age. It's all about possession, and that includes your physical traits. Here are the forms for tener, and you'll notice right away this one's a bit irregular. So for I have, it's yo tengo. For he has, it's él tiene. Honestly, these specific forms are worth memorizing because you are going to use them all the time.
Okay, let's put this to use. To describe hair, you'd say someone has black hair. Tiene el pelo negro. But here's the biggest mental shift you need to make. Your age. In English, we say, I am 27. In Spanish, you say you have 27 years. Tengo 27 años. That's a really fundamental difference, and it's super important to remember.
And there you have it, a complete personal profile. We're using ser for who you are and tener for what you have. You've now got a full, detailed introduction, totally ready to go. So you can introduce yourself. Awesome. But a conversation isn't a monologue, right? It's a two-way street. The final step is learning how to ask all these same questions back so you can actually connect with people.
These question words are your tools for conversation. You'll notice that upside-down question mark at the beginning. That's a classic feature of written Spanish. But these words are what open the door to learning about the other person.
And you know what? The pattern is beautifully simple. You share something about yourself, and then you use a question word to ask the same thing back.
And that little phrase, y tú, which just means and you, is going to be your absolute best friend. It creates that natural back and forth flow.
So, here's the main takeaway. With just two key verbs, ser and tener, plus a few adjectives and some question words, you've officially moved beyond just listing facts about yourself. You're now fully equipped to actually have a conversation and connect with someone.
And that's it for this explainer. As you go off and think about how to describe yourself, here's a final question to chew on. If you only had 5 words to describe yourself in any language, what would they be? What are the words that truly define you? Thanks for watching.